Noddy, the little man with the red and yellow car. Noddy, his tinkling bell means he's the happiest little fellow in all Toyland.
Hey there. Welcome to the rather delayed Enid Blyton talk. Now, I know some people, pretty much everyone, knows who Enid Blyton is. Pretty much everyone in Britain and several other countries around the world know who she is, because pretty much everyone has read a book by her. So I'm going to start with the first series that most people know about, is Noddy. Noddy is probably one of the most well-known children's books ever. It's been made into TV shows several times. Since in 1985 there's one, in the 1980s there's one in the 90s, and there's one still going on now this decade in the two. I'm not going to say noughties because that sounds pathetic. Anyway, Noddy is, about Noddy, who lives in Toyland. He's a very happy-go-lucky sort of fella whose best friend is Big Ears, and he looks like a garden gnome, Big Ears, and he has really, really big ears. Now, they're very simple stories, some more than others, but I want to more talk about the controversy of a certain characters that are in the early versions, the Gollywogs, and these were based on, well, we all know what they're based on, the toys that are slightly racist. There were three characters who were Gollywogs. There was Mr. Golly, who ran the garage, who was later replaced with Mr. Sparks, who for some reason has no feet. I still don't get that. And the other two Gollywogs, or just, I'm not even sure if they're just called the Gollies, were villains who used to cause trouble. Now that might be why people got annoyed with them. And yeah, I can see why people might find it offensive that the troublemakers were based on black people, or a toy based on black people rather. I think I would be a bit upset. Anyway, they were replaced with these characters called Sly and Gobbo, who were goblins. And they were quite creepy actually. And it's just, I understand, but it's not Enid Blyton's fault, because the toy came out, the toy was out already in the 1940s when Enid Blyton wrote Noddy. And she was just writing for her time. This is when things were acceptable. She didn't think in 60 years' time, I better not write this in case someone gets offended, because you've got to think of it in context. Much like of Mice and Men. You have to think of its context before you read it. Secondly, I'd like to mention the famous Five. Oh boy. Now, this is probably one of her most well-known, other than Noddy. But I'm not a big fan. I never have been, and I never intend to be. The stories are a little more boring, and one of the famous Five was a dog. Yes, the famous Five: Julian, Anne, and Dick, and George, and Timmy the dog. Timmy the dog was one of the famous Five. Why couldn't it be the famous Four? Please, explain this to me. Famous Five, and the dog, then you get one of them, George, is actually a girl, because she's a tomboy. For some reason she needs to be like a boy and be tough, but I don't know. I really don't understand that much. Not my favourite series. Kind of boring. Yet that's the most famous one to be done into TV shows. And even more recently they did a new series with the kids of the famous Five. Why? Why try and revamp Enid Blyton? Enid Blyton is meant to be old-fashioned anyway. That's the whole point of its charm. Not having all these modern hip people. I really don't understand. And still the famous Five have a dog. And the dog is called Timmy. Right. You gotta love the originality there. Calling the new dog the same name as the last one. And there's also another series by Enid Blyton called The Secret Seven, and I couldn't for the life of me remember all 7 names. I'm pretty sure one of them was Janet, but that's only because that's my mum's name, but you know, you remember certain things like that. And again, very similar, except they're not posh kids. They go to normal schools. They might be a bit posh, but not as posh as the Famous Five. I'd like to also mention my favourite series of Enid Blyton, which is The Five Fine Outers and Dog, or actually they're called the Enid Blyton Mystery Series. And this is about 5 kids and a dog. Yes, there's still 5 Fine Outers and there's still a dog, but they're the 5 Fine Outers, it's 5 of them. You have Pip and Bets, who are brother and sister. Bets is the youngest of the group. Larry and Daisy, who are middle in the age. Larry's the oldest by about a year. And finally, Frederick Algernon and Trotwood. And he's also known as Fatty, as his initials spell out F-A-T. He's the unofficial leader at the beginning, but then becomes the main leader in the 3rd book, much to the annoyance of Larry, who was in effect the leader to begin with as he was older. Now this series only had 15 books, which is a few less than the Famous Five. But it was still my favourite series, because the stories were better, Fatty was far more entertaining than any of the Famous Five, and it was just so much more engaging, and also had similar recurring characters which made it funny. I mean, it's quite an interesting thing, because in Japan this series actually was very popular, because out of the 15 book series became 104 episode series called Gone into Ippiki, which is actually just the 5 Fine Hours. That's what it means. 5 Fine Hours. Well, roughly. Can't say it exactly. And I can't find anything else other than this picture, as you will most likely see right in front of you. It is very interesting to see that certain things get translated so well over in other nations. I suppose maybe it's because there was though the dog is different, I have to say, the dog is different. Buster, who was in the original series, was a little Scotty dog. I'm not sure what they were, but they're very small. In this one, in the Japanese version, he was a spaniel, I think, either a black poodle. Most likely a spaniel, who knows. You can tell by the picture. I'm not much into dogs, I really hate dogs. Anyway, I mean, some of her books have been criticised. Anyway, moving on to Enid Blyton now. Her books have been criticised for very recent times, due to being very old-fashioned and having very old-fashioned places for the female characters, and characters who were different class or race. But, again, it's context. She was writing in the 1940s into the 1960s. Actually, her career started in the 1920s. I mean, you can't really blame her for that. Also, I find it interesting that there's still a lot of interest in her. I mean, the BBC over here in Britain, from most people who can listen to this already know it's Britain, well, they're going to do a live story of her, and oddly enough, Helena Bonham Carter is going to play Enid Blyton. I really don't see that one, but they chose her. That's about it. There are many other Enid Blyton stories I could have mentioned, like The Adventurers 4. Oh wait, Adventurers 4, Famous 5, Secret 7. I see a number theme going with her. Oh, maybe there'll be The Mischievous 2. Oh, maybe not. Someone should do that as a homage to Enid Blyton. Anyway, I'm sorry for the delay in this, but there will be more in this more recent future. I don't know what that means, but there will be some more soon, rather than later. Enjoy it for the rest of your evening, or daytime, or whatever you're doing, and I hope to see you again soon. Until next time, see you again.
There's Biggies and Tubby and Mr. Plod and all his special friends. It's sixpence an adventure, then he'll take you home again. And now it's time for Noddy to wave and say goodbye. He's tired and sleepy and nodding his head. He's ready to curl himself up in bed and see what tomorrow brings. For Noddy, Noddy, Noddy.